Good day, everybody. Check, 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 audio check. Yes, it's working. Good day, everybody. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media channel. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. Today is July 27th, 2023. I'm here today with co-host Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst and commentator extraordinaire. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Once again, it's a vacation show for me, so we don't have the big expensive set here. We have a different virtual picture today. But if we have any technical snafus, well, that's just normal for my show. But just know that I'm doing this on a remote location. So the quality of the video may not be as good, but the quality of discussion will always be awesome. So today we've got Pedro brought this up the other day. We want to talk about a little bit about inflation and how it works. Pedro and I concur about certain things on it, but I have a feeling we're going to disagree on some other ones. So we'll talk about that. And of course, if time has it, we'll talk about some news of the day that anyone that has comments or questions about. Pedro's in here only for the first half of the show, so we'll bring him on ahead. Pedro, are you there? Good. Give me an audio check one more time there. No, hold on. I can't hear you on the stream. 1 second here. Let me fix that. As I tell everybody, see? That's what you get. Let's see here. Change the media. Where is that option? Change media device. Yep, onto the wrong one. All right, give me an audio check again there, Pedro.
Audio check 1 2 1 2.
All right, give me an audio check again there, Pedro. All right, now we got you. Are you all good?
Excellent.
Welcome, Pedro. Welcome to the show today. Yesterday you brought up, or 2 days ago, you brought up the concept of inflation and how it's just not working out for everybody. So I thought today's show, because it's a vacation show for me, I don't have any guests scheduled. Let's get right to the heart of the matter.
Absolutely. So actually, real quick, I want to just go over Bitcoin prices and what we're actually seeing. Real quick. So I think we went on Monday or Tuesday, and I talked about certain support levels that are coming in, and I want to point this out here real quick. So we have the weekly chart coming in here real quick, popping off of the 89 and 8 moving average. And so I personally thought we were going to see a sell-off down to that 28,000 mark area. Again,
right.
And just to reiterate this is all educational and entertainment purposes only.
Absolutely.
Please do not take me as a financial advisor or anything of that sort. Please consult your financial advisor in relationship to any type of purchasing of any type of security and or crypto. Thank you and have a good day. So as you guys can see, we did bounce off the 89 on the weekly as well as that 8. The problem is I don't see a lot of volume coming from bouncing off of that. And on the daily chart, we're seeing some pretty some markers that kind of indicate that we're probably going to continue going down here, simply because we're not seeing a lot of volume coming in at the level where we're bouncing off of. So I personally think that we will most likely see a turnaround and a continuation down. Again, these are just some of the things that we're seeing within the market. I would love to see more volume in relationship to where we're at, but really that's kind of nothing. I was hoping to see something of this nature of volume and this level here.
Weak volumes scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in relationship to that, let's jump into the idea of what happened in America with the rich as well as with the poor. Talking about inflation. Now, I'm not an economist. I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm a layman who just reads and studies and tries to do my best to understand certain things. I want to make sure that we understand that. So if somebody starts, if I don't know something and somebody brings something up, I'm just going to say, yeah, I do not know. I'm going to get back to that. You know, if somebody who's an expert comes in and says, well, what about this, this, and this? And because of my lack of education, I might just simply revert to say, I really don't know. Okay, so I want to make sure we understand that. But in the relationship to the idea of where we're sitting at in America with the US dollar, in conjunction with what we have a purchasing power coming in from our dollar in our local government, in our local area. So, like, personally, when I take my money in USD, right, and I buy, and domestic USD, because there's a difference between
Right.
global USD, which is they call the petrodollar, i.e., what people use exchange to buy petro, because everything that we have is literally made from, because plastic is made and put into plastic, and that comes from the
Yay, polluting the oceans.
exactly, there you go. So the short of it is this, is that when COVID happened and they funneled a ton of money into, they told Americans and the rest of the world to stop working, pretty much because of the World Economic Forum and because of COVID and everything. And I can understand that. And I'm not going to go into whether it was real or not. I don't even care about that. What I do see, though, is things being moved down the road because of it. And
All right.
almost in a world fashion economy where they're trying to create a one world government / a one world currency. And that actually just popped out today. So I think it's so interesting that we're having this discussion, and the last couple of days, some new news has popped up about literally WorldCoin and who's behind it, the Bilderberg and World Economic Forum, and how they want to scan your eyeball to be able to get income for the rest of your life, and everybody will be able to basically receive this income for free right now in crypto. So I just think it's really interesting to see what is happening. So let me jump into the situation that we were talking about, and then we'll both discuss it.
All right.
We saw a decrease of US dollar purchasing power. Hence, when we really funneled a ton of money into the economy. And in this process, we saw the U.S. and the individual U.S. citizen now having a hard time keep up with inflation, up to about 40%. 40% of your purchasing power got wiped out, literally within a year or two. And that means also that if you invest into the stock market and you're going to retire, even though you may have $1 million, your purchasing power on that is literally being cut in half, almost cut in half. And we can go into the numbers if somebody wants to post that. But what I find more interesting is this, is that most people don't even know. They're actually clueless to this.
Right.
And go ahead. So
I was gonna say most people are clueless to it because they live within their own closed system. Most people don't look at how the US dollar equates to foreign currencies or to gold or to Bitcoin or to whatever. They get their paycheck on Friday, they go to the bank, and they go to the bar, then they go home to the woman or the man, and
or non-binary,
right, or any of the above, and then on Monday they start all over again. That's what most people do. But there are more and more people like you and I that like when you work in the financial markets, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. So you understand when you see the value of the Swiss franc increasing greatly against the dollar, you're like, wait a minute, wait, why is that?
Mm-hmm.
And the printing, the printing presses get going here. When the U.S. can't sell enough bonds to cover its debt, or to cover its spending, I should say. Mm-hmm. It just prints more money, and I don't know the nuances of that. I probably said something wrong there. Don't flame me in the comments, but we all know what we mean. The more we print the money and increase the money supply without it being backed by something good, bad things happen.
Yes. I think you hit on a point that I want to kind of elucidate about that topic. Whereas when we go through and we live in a closed system, when you talk to most people outside of the United States, they're very acquainted with how the dollar and their currency works in relationship to the next country. Most businesses in Europe, even in Africa, South America, Australia, they're very conscious of how their dollar relates to the US dollar in business wise.
Right.
And they're very educated in relationship to that. Now, yes, you have people who aren't as knowledgeable, but everybody has a basic knowledge of that. I would say the majority of the world isn't ignorant to world economic, or it's the wrong word, world currencies in relationship to their business or just their daily life, right? Because commodities go up and down in a pretty high fashion on a weekly or a monthly basis based off what's going on.
Hey, put when you're talking, have your charts up because it's the background.
Oh, I'm actually going to go into the U.S. debt.
Oh, okay, good. So I know you don't have much time on today's show, so while you're doing that, I'm going to bring up the controversial topic is the Bitcoin maxis say, you're being robbed. The government's basically robbing you by printing more money and allowing inflation to happen. And Bitcoin solves that because it's a fixed supply and all that. And I would have to disagree with that, because, and I'm also not an economist, so I might not have talked through this like other people have. And that is, prices are still going to go up because people in unions across the world have negotiated raises. That means people will have more money to spend, which means they're willing to pay a higher price for something. And if we're going to say, okay, Bitcoin is the currency of the world, or WorldCoin, or whatever, and there's a fixed supply, then there have to be fixed prices. You can't have inflation of your prices of products and supply chain if you can't say the money supply can't grow. Now, I get it that each sat and each Bitcoin can be worth exponentially increasing more. So if each one is worth more, then you need fewer of them to buy bread. But that's a game that everyone has to be honest in, and we've seen over and over again that people are not honest.
Yes.
So anyway, that's my and I'll talk more about that after Pedro goes for the day.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this real quick because I want you guys to understand what's actually going on. So before COVID, right, we were sitting on our national debt probably around $24 trillion. I don't know. I think it was, I'm trying to remember if it was whether it was 20 or 24. I took pictures of it. But
it's a lot.
Yeah, but the U.S. debt, actually, excuse me, I think it was 20. At 20 trillion, and the domestic gross product what we do, where we sell to the rest of the world, was about even, if not a little bit higher. So we were actually ranging at a higher level. Okay, meaning we were actually in the black for the year, right? Roughly. Now, as you can see, our debt, now a while back ago, I went back and actually posted where it was 28 trillion. It's dropped down now to 26 trillion. In addition to that, our U.S. debt has increased. And in relationship to that, okay, this is what we're teetering on as the reason why the rest of the world is sitting there going, okay, this is kind of getting out of hand. Because if we have another COVID, if we have another situation that happens, these numbers will most likely exponentially grow again. So, not to say that there is going to be, but after this past week's news developments between the World Coin and the World Economic Forum, I don't see it. It's like they're really pushing hard to push certain things and to debase the U.S. dollar and talking about inflation and how everything will work. Because here's the thing: if you cannot buy certain things in the grocery to cover your basic needs, because your dollar can't, right? What's going to happen is that you're going to need to find a currency or something of that nature to be able to allow you, whether it's gold, silver, skill sets, bartering, i.e., I can build a house, I know that you have this, I can help that, right? And or versus maybe going out and getting crypto, right? And that ability to be able to exchange that value. I want to point something out that we can sit there and see here, kind of in our face here. You can see right here that this is the US dollar to crypto ratio in 2013. It was 9,185 to $1. Okay, this was in 2013. Now, in today's value, we are sitting at $15 to $1. This is dramatic. I mean, this is a big deal.
It is.
And so I sit there to go, I sit there and I go, you know what? And it's not, if you look at the chart, when you look at the chart and they don't really have that yet, but the dollar to Bitcoin and like the full, I don't know how to explain it, the market cap of crypto in relationship to the dollar and how that all works. When you look at the chart, it is on a higher high and a higher low scale. And so when you just chart it out to say pricing, it's a dramatic growth. Now, will it continue? I don't know. It all depends on the world elites and the adoption of the population of the world and how this is going to work, right? Because are they going to go ahead?
I said, oh, great. We have to depend on the population of the world.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Are they going to want to go towards DeFi, or are they going to want to go to WorldCoin that just came out this past week, really, and is really being pushed in relationship to the scan of your pupil, right? That this is a big deal. People don't even realize it. So I'm finding it very interesting to see what we're seeing in relationship to why your dollar isn't buying as much.
Well, we have two problems here in the U.S. as I see it at a macro scale. One is the inability of Congress to just stop effing spending money. Yep. They just keep billions and billions and huge programs and billions, and they keep spending it on things that don't get a return of investment. And you know, the good thing is you can be controversial as the Infrastructure Act. They spent trillion dollars on roads, railroads, all this kind of stuff. As far as I'm concerned, they can spend whatever they want on infrastructure. That you get a big return on investment. But social programs, I hate to tell you, liberals, that in times of crisis, with the money supply, we need to cut back on things that don't give us a return on investment. And just giving billions of dollars to people during COVID really hammered us. Now, I get it. It saved a lot of businesses. I get that. I'm not saying it was bad or anything. What I'm saying is now we're suffering. And we're suffering for it big time in the form of huge inflation. And for those people that live on a fixed income that may get 2%, 3% cost of living raises, even people that have awesome pensions like city workers that I'll just like in the state of Illinois, they're scamming the system with they get increases on increases and on increases. And they're still losing out over time. Now, the other side of that, in my view, is that inflation does help the U.S. government. It reduces the value of the debt, makes it easier to pay off. You know, if they owe $100 trillion in real dollars, then over a few years, if the inflation goes to 50%, it takes 50% of the value away. 50% of the value of that debt goes away too. So it's a game. It's like you're juggling 25 chainsaws at the same time, and any slip up and one of those chainsaws takes your arm off and the house collapses. And I'm unconvinced that Bitcoin can fix it. But what do you got for us before you go today, Pedro?
Yeah, I want to bring up the interest rate and actually how that works in relationship to paying off this debt. We're raising interest rates. We raised interest rates yesterday. We're seeing stuff that's moving. And our FAD is really, it's interesting to see what's actually going on a level that it almost seems backwards, but also forward thinking in relationship if you have a grand thought. And I want to bring that up because as we keep increasing interest rates, we also have to pay a higher interest rate on that debt. and I think was it right now it's
True.
5.5 or 5.
Right. Our rates go up for that too. Right?
Yes. So that's just, it makes it hard. And I'm actually just wondering if within the next 2-3 years, are we going to see, maybe even 5 years, where America can't pay that debt? I don't know. Well, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens when that happens.
Well, we
But
got to
if that
start
happens-
tightening the belts now. It's like we just
Yep.
we have to pay off some of the debt, restructure it, pay off, restructure, pay off, restructure. Yeah, it's been since the Clinton administration, I think, and I'm not taking sides here in politics. I'm just
Right.
giving you a time frame. It's been since the Clinton administration in which we had a decent plan to have a balanced budget and reduce the deficit. And it's ridiculous that we can't hold on to that. And people say, well, borrowing money is good and all this kind of stuff. Yes, everyone needs a good credit rating, so in times of crisis, they can borrow money. I get that. But not every year. Not every year. Every year, they're like, well, let's just build another, $12 billion aircraft carrier or conduct another war. I mean,
Yeah.
you just stop spending it. Let's hold on, put the brakes on it. Everything, 1/2 the spending, use that other money to pay off the debt and get control of this inflation. Because otherwise, people will turn to Bitcoin en masse. And anytime society changes quickly, bad things happen. Anytime anything changes quickly, you see a good thing and you're like, oh, that's good. There's going to be good benefits. But all sorts of other stuff don't go right. And that's like when Congress passes legislation as a result of some emotional event, like a shooting or a natural disaster. And then 2 weeks later, they're passing a bill. And then 2 years later, everyone's like, oh, we didn't anticipate that with that law. It's a disaster. And so change takes time. And you need to evaluate, need to change. These are generational change things. And people are wanting changes tomorrow. And I sense disaster. So that's why I will diversify.
I agree with that. It's really interesting. And before I go, with this last little statement, I forget who said it. It was a government official, but basically said, never let a catastrophe go unused. A good catastrophe go unused. And with that, I am out. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
All right, Pedro. We will see you next week on DYOR Live.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, everybody. As always, you got my green screen there. How about I bring back? Tell you what, I'm going to thank my my sponsor, Auditchain here. So listen to me talk a little bit. Most of you know that crypto exchanges have been taking a beating about transparency, and many groups out there are trying to solve that. But Auditchain has already done that. Auditchain's protocols and network of validators can mathematically prove that a company's entire financial state, not just proof of reserves, but a proof of state, and whether or not that company is providing accurate reporting and information to the respective government regulators and to the public. Seriously, you and I can check crypto companies and traditional companies' financial reports for transparency and accuracy using a logic and reasoning engine called Pacioli that records its output where? On the blockchain. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, blockchain technology is now able to be used to check on traditional companies. Behind me is a list of companies that comprise the S&P 500, S&P 100. In essence, the largest US companies by size. More than 1/4, 29 out of 100, have problems with their reports. Remember, accounting and other corporate systems are garbage in and garbage out. So if there are problems with the data out for these companies, in red here, what does that mean? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are problems with the data going in. And this was figured out not by accounting or auditing firms and fleets of consultants. This was compiled and reported on by Auditchain's Pacioli validating nodes and took only 5 minutes. It's revolutionary and it's a disruptor technology. Auditchain. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to me for giving us that information on Auditchain. Of course, thanks to Jason Myers and everyone at Auditchain for sponsoring, as I say, sponsoring DYOR's original programming. And as a programming note, if you're watching this on the replay, it's just a replay, skip ahead. But I'm just going to be talking about inflation here the rest of the hour here, which is, in my book, is just 10 more minutes. This is a Thursday morning show. I'm on doing this as a vacation show, and I will be off the air until Monday, July 31st, which we'll have next week. Got some more interviews lined up, including another episode about tax, specifically taxes and NFTs, and how a lot of people are going to get hammered. That IRS, all those IRS agents come on and start auditing people and catching up on where people weren't collecting sales taxes, because we know those states and cities want their part of the pie too. Oh, let me just do a levels check here real quick. Yep, sounds good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know I don't have a big live audience today, and frankly, I very rarely do in the mornings, but that's okay. We cut these up and we use this stuff for social media. But if you have a comment, I'd appreciate you dropping it in the comment section here. Even if it's on the replay, drop the comment. I watch them. I will get back to you with an answer or discuss it on another episode of DYOR Live. Let's do a check of the socials here right now. Oops, that was the wrong button there. Usually I have a NASA-like interface here. Today I have one laptop, and it's running all this from one laptop. And usually I'll default to StreamYard or something like that. Makes it simple. Not today. Not today. Using a remoting into the whole thing to keep it going. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So LinkedIn, thank you guys very much for watching. As I said, not a lot of viewers, but a couple. Appreciate it. YouTube. I don't know. It's very rare. It's very weird that I get more viewers on LinkedIn than I do on YouTube. It's very odd. Very, very odd. Anyway, to talk more about, I would bring the stories up behind me, but it's just too difficult right now. To talk more about inflation, this is what I don't get. And if you're listening to this and see me going awry with my thought process, drop a comment and let me know. I'm always up for criticism and or critiquing. The concept that if everyone relies on Bitcoin, and it will end inflation and governments robbing from people via inflation, is a difficult economic concept to grasp, because in my mind, talking that through, it has to be everything is fixed prices. If there's going to be a fixed money supply for the world or for whomever, if a government backs its currency with 100% Bitcoin or 100% anything, then that supply can't expand. When we backed our currencies with gold and silver, you could expand the money supply by mining the earth, digging up the earth, which nowadays with the money supply at 100 times what it was in the 1970s or more, I don't know what the number is, but that's a lot. We would imagine 100 to 200 more gold mines around the world, and every citizen of every country stripping every ecological piece of dirt in front of them looking for gold. You don't want to imagine that. It would be an awful place. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. If we rely on a fixed supply that you can't expand it, what happens to people that want more money in life? If it's going to be a fixed supply, then we have to have a fixed cost system. If there's only 21 million Bitcoin, what is 21 million Bitcoin, and 21 septillion Satoshis in total. It's a lot. I get it's a lot. And if each one of them is only worth $1, it's still a lot more money than this in the entire world. I get that. But you have to have a way to expand, to account for people wanting more money. especially unions. What are you going to do? Go back and tell all the public unions of the world there'll not be any raises ever again? No. And I understand the concept that, as the value of each Satoshi or Bitcoin grows, that also mimics the growth in the money supply. If there's one of something that's worth $1 million, it's the same as there being 1 million of them that's worth $1. I get that. But the concept that would be an easy economic linear equation for as there becomes more demand, people want more money because they want more things in life and they get ahead. In order for that to turn around and then say the value of Bitcoin has to grow at the same time that people want more money, to me that negates, if the value grows. If someone says, all right, we're going to give you more in Bitcoin, but the value of Bitcoin or more equivalent, see, I'm getting the thought process wrong. If a union worker says, I want the equivalent of $10 an hour and $12 an hour next year, if the price of Bitcoin then changes its value, then did that person get any more or less? I don't know. It's hard to explain because there's no easy way to talk about it. I've read through 1,000 forums on it, and people argue it's a very simple economic principle. I know that humans don't create simple things. They create complex things. They put emotions in it, and they put all sorts of let me rephrase that. And they try and scam the system the best they can. So I don't know how that would work. I'm skeptical of it working on the money. It's a fixed supply. Remember, your value, the value of what you own, and the value of what the currency you own, and all the things that are priced in the currencies in which you live. That value is based on the trust of not just the people, but of the economy, the companies, the users of the money, the spenders, the hoarders of the money, the printers of the money, everything. It's that whole system. The US dollar isn't strong just because of the US government. That's not why. They're just one little smidgen in it. That's it. The rest is because the world trusts the US dollar for business. And that's why the US dollar is strong. And the US backs that up with its government, with the people, with our economy, and our military. And as a colleague of mine famously says, if you want to have a different hegemon in the world, you're going to need a bigger army. And that's the truth. Oh, let's see. What else we got for us today? Let's go back and check the tweeter. It's a little, I don't do this as easily here. Oh, let's see what Robert F. Kennedy is talking about. And I'm not sure he gets Bitcoin either. I'm not sure he gets it. Bitcoin allows small investors to actually have an inflation-proof currency right now. Anyone who uses fiat currency is at the mercy of the system, which is designed to strip mine wealth from the poor and middle class and put it in the pockets of the super rich. Yeah, that's a quote from RFK. That's not right. It's not right that it's A, saying that it's designed that way, or two, that happens. The reason that it's a much simpler reason why the wealth gap in the United States has happened and has grown between the working man and the wealthy. And that's because the U.S. shipped its entire middle class off to Asia. I disagree highly with almost everything Donald Trump says, but he said one thing. He said the cities in China with the big gleaming skyscrapers, who paid for those? We paid for those. In engaging China and allowing all of our manufacturing to go over there for cheap labor, we lost our middle class. And that's what caused the wealth gap. If we still had a strong middle class, then there would be enormous wealth in the U.S. in that class, and the wealth gap would not be so much. Just how it is, ladies and gentlemen. You can't get around that. Now, I know people try to get around that, but you can't. And that's why the middle class in China is booming. I mean, China had no middle class. China had the elite, and they had the agricultural world that they lived on, basically at the peasant level. Now they have a booming middle class, And obviously, arguing about China's economies can be a month-long show. I get that. Hold on, I got to pull this down. But with our entire middle-class wealth shipped over to China because of our manufacturing capability, went all the way over there, this is what we end up with. You end up with a wealth gap, and you end up with the people that create things. This is good that people create things here in the U.S. or take others' ideas and expand on them and grow them. And the world comes to them, so they get enormously wealthy, like Elon Musk and crew, because the whole world is investing in their projects, not just small regional areas like the steel magnates from Pennsylvania. They were pretty rich, but they didn't have the whole world buying their products. They had the industrial Midwest buying their products. You open up something to the whole world, you get a lot more rich. Anyway, social media is kind of quiet today. The doldrums of summer, ladies and gentlemen. The doldrums of summer. Let me check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's the show for today. I want to thank Pedro Garcia coming on to talk about inflation and his views on it. Pedro is definitely in the traders world and in the camp that the U.S. government is stealing your money. I'm more of in the not conservative, but in the middle ground, more of the libertarian kind of middle, as they say, saying, yeah, I mean, they allow some inflation intentionally to happen. Because you almost need to, since people are demanding more money in their jobs and have negotiated raises and all this type of stuff. In order to keep things under control, a little inflation has to happen. But we got in trouble with COVID. We got in trouble with we spent too much money in Afghanistan and Iraq. And if we had used that money, all that money is a waste. Just the money we spent in Afghanistan, every cent of it was a waste. I've been there. I went to Afghanistan. As soon as I got there, I was like, every dollar we're spending here is a waste. And I put it on Barack Obama's shoulders that when we caught Bin Laden, he should have just shipped all of our soldiers home and said, done, mission accomplished. That's it. No mas. But we kept at it for another 10 years or 12 years or however long it was. I don't know. But if we had invested all that money in infrastructure, in trains and railroads, in modern industrial parks that better take advantage of the global supply chain now, in investing and bringing our manufacturing back from China, we wouldn't be in this boat right now. Even with COVID, we would have survived that a lot better. And now we have a long road to face to pay off our bonds and reduce our debt. Oh, I love when that happens. The old email notification comes up during, even though you hit that button, say suppress all notifications, Windows says, nope, there's certain ones we're going to show anyway. That's what I get for doing this on the remote system today. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. I want to thank everybody for listening today, either on the in the live show. I know there wasn't a bunch of you. I think between the two platforms are on, only about 20 people tuned in. But on the replay, I want to thank you. If you got to this point, drop me a comment and say, Tom, or Striking, I got to the end. I got to the end, and I'll send you something. So I didn't say what, but I'll send you something. Oh God, this is a side story. My mom and I used to listen to WLW radio, the Cincinnati Reds. And the daytime guys would have a sports contest, sports or consequences. And they would tell everybody, you have just won a new car. And it was an old baseball player, Frank Pastore, Cincinnati Red baseball card from like 1975, which was worth about $1. No, not $1, a cent or something like that. But everyone get excited and say you've won a new car. If you are listening here, drop a comment and you'll be a winner of something. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here on the DYOR Media Network. Stay tuned to DYOR Live next week when we have much more exciting guests than myself and good content. Have a good day, everyone, and a great weekend.